shenanigans, truth, lies, shenanigans.
Welcome to the Truth, Lies, Shenanigans podcast. My co-host today, the lovely Gianni Storm and Robbie.
What's up, everyone?
So we're talking marriage today. And this is part 2 of our discussion on marriage, where Gianni asked, is marriage going to become a thing of the past in the next 50 years? Is this truth, lies, shenanigans? We're going to pick up where we left off on the last episode. After my first one, I had written off marriage altogether. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do this marriage thing. This is stupid.
A lot of people feel that way.
And then I found the right one, and I was like, I was ready.
Nio, I think what's really important is you need to surround yourself with good people, with good friends, because good people and good friends will call you on your shit. Whereas people who might go online for their validation will absolutely receive their validation because they're falling into an echo chamber and they don't know these people. Oh, yes. Oh my God. He's so wrong. It's his loss. Oh, you are the table. Are you? Are you really though? Nobody knows your shit.
They're
Nobody knows that.
epitomizing it.
But I've shared my story and now I'm getting the clicks and the likes and the support that I want to get. Meanwhile, these are just people on the ether that don't know the situation. You need to keep a close hub so that people can be honest with you and just say, hey, you know, like, yeah, you really need to work on this. If you really want to be happy in your next relationship, you really need to work on this. And I'm telling you this because I love you and I don't want to see you hurt.
Yeah. And it was a dynamic that we had in the first one. It was two people having interactions that were not positive. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't a bad husband. I would, by any stretch of the imagination, I was.
Would you say you were a passionate couple? If you weren't fighting, you were screwing?
I wouldn't say that necessarily. But
if he was young, I could believe that at that time because that's like you could do it at any age. But I think that when you're young, you kind of just have that dynamic. That's funny.
No, I think it was just more about our communication. We just failed to communicate in a healthy way. So when one person got upset with another one, we didn't have a way to.
So did it damage your respect? Because communication can change. Oh, okay.
We have, there was a huge lack of respect for one another. I mean, I was never one to call people names and we didn't do a lot of cussing, but there was just some times where we just didn't communicate at all for weeks at a time. That's just, I think back to that. I was telling one of my friends, I was like, that's just stupid.
I don't like that.
That's a dumb way to communicate.
Misery
so bad.
that you take on at that point. Rather than just being honest about your feelings. And you're right, Nio, it's that emotional maturity that you lack if you grew up in a rough situation, because it might come out as personal attacks, ad hominem attacks. Why do you always do this? Well, no, hey, you know what? Let's just talk about the situation that's being created here. If I tell you how your behavior impacts me and how if you altered your behavior slightly, like Nio, in my second go around, much better communication, very honest with myself. I worked very hard on myself for about 3 years before I was ready. And I worked hard at becoming,
good job, guys.
Worked hard at becoming the person that I wanted in a partner. I worked on the values that I wanted in a partner. And when I finally gave up on dating because I kept meeting just ridiculous people and having the same interactions over and over, enter Jo, and she just rocked my world. And I knew.
And I can tell from Jo that she's perfect for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
the connection
I complement one another completely.
Yes, very well.
We found what we need in a partner, and we uplift one another. I'm in a better place today than I was 10 years ago. I hold myself to a higher accountability level because of her, and I aspire to be a better person because of her.
Yeah.
See, that's all we can. These stories between Nio and Rob, I know that there could be hope. And I'm almost just hoping that we're in this growth spurt era where we're just all kind of like emotionally learning. But I think what's really damaging it is, I'm going to go back to Rob's point about the media. And it's just, you can see it in the numbers. The statistics are, there was 76% of people getting married at one point in 1970s to now 30%. So you can see that drastic change.
30%?
30%, Nio. Yeah.
I didn't know it was that low.
It's bad. Yeah, I know.
And then on top of that, it's about a 50% divorce rate. So we're saying like 15% of people stay married.
Crazy. Stay
And
married.
that's a sobering
That's
statistic
scary.
because I know that in some states, in some areas, divorce definitely favors one partner more than it favors the other. So when you have a contract
Oh,
that's set up in a manner where one person will benefit more than the other by breaking the contract, that's a problem. And that is a huge demotivator. If you are someone who's
it
affluent
is.
and you think that, if I marry this
Ah,
individual, they're going to take half my
all my
shit.
money. You
If
hear
we
that a
have
lot too,
kids,
stories like
so
that.
then, so what's the incentive when breaking that contract benefits one person more than it benefits the other? Then there's no incentive to even
To doing
embark on
it.
that contract. Or then you get into the caveats of, well, okay, well, we got a prenup. Okay, so now you're undermining the love and trust aspect of entering that relationship
Hmm.
Yeah,
because
it's
you
that
should
awkward.
trust them wholly and completely, right? But you have to protect what's yours because of the way that the institution is set up.
Yeah, it's a really good point.
One thing we're not
I didn't
talking
even think.
about though is children
Mhm.
and the
Mm,
value, because a lot of people stay together because they say, I want to stick around for the kids. I'm going to stay around.
kids.
They're very toxic relationships that I've seen where a friend of mine that's getting divorced who had a very toxic relationship, but he kind of stuck around. And his reason was, I want to keep a good family for my children. I want to make sure they have a mother and a father together. But with that being said, I see the value in it because, there's so many people who are just fucked up because they have parents got a
Yeah, the parent.
divorce, they separated, and they're just messed up in their head. They feel like it's their fault and all these other things. People are just messed up because of divorce. But are people also messed up because their parents can't communicate? I mean,
Okay,
where's
okay.
the balance in, like, should we be staying together for the kids? Should we be leaving because we can't communicate and it looks terrible to the kids? We're teaching them terrible communication habits. Um,
Right.
is
Is it
it
really
better
for the
to
kids?
move on? I mean, because like you said, Rob and I are great examples. We figured it out after the first one, right? We, we,
Yeah.
we, we did a better job in the second one. Maybe it is time to move on and then
Mm,
move to something that is healthy. Maybe you can't find a healthy relationship in your first go around in your family that you're in, and you need something more healthy. And is that even better for the kids? What do you think about the family dynamic and what that means, Johnny?
that's a good point because we never think about the kids, but that's usually why people try to stay together. That's tough. I have to do my own digging because if you think about it, what side of this coin is more affected? The kids that are with the divorced parents or the kids that are with the psycho parents that are sticking together? So which one is more affected? Because you would say in society, people would think that the ones with the divorced parents suffer badly. But then you see their lives and that's not always the case. So that's a good one for me, Neil. That's tough. And I think people
But
use that excuse a lot, but if you are doing something that's for the kids, you would make the best choice for the kids and
You
not just
think?
stay together. Not just
So
stay together.
statistically, what the stats show is that children do better in two-parent
That's
households.
what I
So
figured.
that doesn't mean
Figured.
biological parents. It means that they do better in a two-parent household because I absolutely know what Neo is saying, to grow up in a household where yelling means I love you,
Mm.
hitting means I'm going to correct your behavior. When those are the lessons that you learn, grow up a little bit
Hmm.
skewed.
You're
And
almost just as fucked up as if
yeah,
you felt
yeah,
Yeah.
responsible
because I
for your
know that
parents'
when
divorce.
my parents separated, I know that I was contacted by one of them, and I was asked the question: would there be an impact in your life if we separated at this point? And I think I was in my early 30s at that point. I had kids of my own, and I was just like, honestly,
Aw,
at this point,
what?
there's zero impact on my life. 25 years ago would have made all the
Yeah.
difference in the world because I wouldn't have grown up in a household filled with rage and anger, and I would have had an idea of what a stable relationship is supposed to look like. Because in my adolescence and in my baby mama relationship, that was just abysmal,
Yeah.
abysmal. And my first marriage didn't fare much better. I needed to crash and burn and learn some valuable lessons about me so I could heal from all of
Hmm.
that trauma growing up, and then engage in a healthy relationship.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me as far as the children and staying together for the
Yeah.
children. I feel like once I have children of my own and let's say things don't go well or we just fall apart, I feel like it kind of pushes you to try a little harder to make
Yeah,
your
it's a
marriage
motivator.
work, right? It's a motivator. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's something to that. But as far as staying in a toxic situation, I think you have to protect the children and you have to know the difference between a toxic situation and maybe just a
Yeah.
situation that's you don't like or that's uncomfortable or you're not happy with. You know, would I stay in an
That's a good
unhappy
point.
marriage and maybe try to work it through? Maybe. Would I stay
And
in a
let's be honest,
toxic marriage? No.
One
children
that's
are
dangerous.
a huge stressor on any relationship. Children are
Yes.
a
Yeah.
huge strain on any relationship.
Yes.
I know that if you get middle-aged people around a table speaking very honestly, conversation, if the question is asked, that no, they wouldn't do it again because it is so arduous. Having a kid is it's a lifelong commitment.
It is.
Yeah, it
It
is.
really is, and it can be very challenging at times.
There's also the issue of financial because in a marriage, you have combined income. So, of
Right.
course, you can live a little different lifestyle. Now, when you divorce or separate, one parent or another may struggle. On top of separated parents, now you have parents that financially might be struggling. A single mom who's trying to take care of her kid with no father in the picture. Or the same
Yep.
thing with the dad. All they're doing is giving some child support. And child support's so minimal, it's not enough to really take
It's
care of a
nothing.
child in many cases.
Mhm.
So I don't know, staying together for the kids, it's a tough
Children
one. I feel
makes it
like
even
I
more
would try.
complicated.
It
Yeah.
does. It really complicates the situation, as Robbie was saying, like you're saying,
Mhm.
Gianni. Well, would you stay together, Gianni, if you had kids?
I would. I think you're right. It is a case by case scenario because if you can make it work, make it work. Don't shake the boat if you guys are just uncomfortable because you don't like that person because they cheated on you. Whatever the case is, why people are fighting in their relationships,
I'm
I
sorry,
think
did
that
you
you
just
should make it
condone
work.
Try
that
to
one?
scale that one back a little bit.
Yeah, scale that one back, my
I don't
friend.
condone cheating of any kind. I think it's trouble.
I don't know
You just
about that
I
one.
don't. I don't think you should
no.
divorce because of cheating, though. I'm gonna make that
What?
clear.
Are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
I don't think you should divorce because
That
of
is
cheating.
that is one of the biggest betrayals that your partner can rain down upon you.
Nope. The
Absolutely, it's
biggest
one of the
betrayal
biggest
is leaving
betrayals.
you. The biggest betrayal
No,
is leaving you.
leaving me is a lot
Yep.
cleaner than having a sexual affair behind my back. 100%, Johnny. Leave me before you do that kind of damage to me. Are you kidding me? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm blown away, man.
I have 3 absolute deal breakers. Deal breaker number 1 is don't harm me physically. You don't harm my children. Any harm to my children, I'm out, taking my kids. And no
Oh,
cheating.
yeah.
Those are my 3 deal
Okay.
breakers.
That's
I
a
make
deal
them
breaker.
very clear up front. When I was
Yeah.
dating, in my dating stages, I make it very clear. I got 3 deal breakers. Here they are. If you know,
Yeah.
you can decide if you even want to continue dating me, but here
Yeah.
they are. They're reasonable deal breakers, I think. But cheating was
I
one of
think
them.
Know your worth,
I
my
mean,
friend.
no, I don't think that you should say, "Yeah, I'm okay with cheating."
But Johnny, that's exactly what you're saying.
I don't think that my mindset leads to that because cheating isn't a deal breaker for me. But I think that I would make it work for the children, even if that person had cheated. Doesn't mean I want to be with you after these kids are out of this house, but I think you can make it work if they're cheating. But if that person is abusive, disrespectful, could you make that work?
Cheating is being abusive and disrespectful. So you're
They're not
contradicting
harming
yourself,
you, but
Johnny.
it's I think that
Yes,
it's
they
okay.
are.
I think it's going past your boundary. Yes, and it can affect you mentally, it can affect your work. It can have a trickle effect, but I think we know the difference between
STDs.
something
Come
affecting
on,
you.
it can kill you. Neo's
Co-
talking STIs. No,
Oh no, I
your-
Not
literally
your
know
common.
someone. I
That's not
literally know
Your
common.
someone where that happened.
really crimes of passion, Johnny, where somebody feels like they should be with that partner and they come after the other one. So no, I'm sorry. I really need to challenge you on this one, Johnny, because I love you and you need to reevaluate that stance on cheating
Yes.
because that should be a deal breaker for everyone. Know your worth. You're worth so much more than that, because
For
cheating is
me,
a
it's a
choice.
deal breaker. I
They are
wouldn't be with
choosing.
somebody, but I would still
Yeah,
stay with the kids there.
they're home.
I would make it
No, I
work with
wouldn't
the
stay
kids,
with the
I'm
kids
sorry.
there. You can leave and you can see the kids on the weekend. Good. Well
Okay.
done. You did it. You did it
So
to yourself. Played yourself.
But
I'm
that
going to
seems so extreme.
partially support you in this. I have a friend who is with someone who is a serial cheater.
Cheater?
You know, you'd be like, okay, don't do it again, and I'm gonna stay, and I'm gonna figure this out, and don't do it
Mhm.
again, and then don't do it again, don't do it
Been there
again.
too. Been there too.
I'm staying because of the kids. I
Yeah.
know in my situation, there is a possibility I would at least take a moment to think if it happened once, you know, maybe
Oh,
for the
it's gonna happen
kids.
again.
It's most likely going to happen again. But as far as whether or not I would choose to stay, I might if it happened once, but I would be
Mhm.
on guard the rest of our relationship, right? I would be.
And
Oh,
Tony,
yeah. Trust is
if you
shot.
had a if you had a daughter that you were bringing up in that
Oh,
environment,
yep.
would you, or it doesn't matter, you know what? A boy or a girl, it doesn't matter. If you have a child in that environment and you are allowing your spouse to cheat on you, guess what? The
Mhm.
kids are going to figure
The
it
kids are
out
going to
over
figure it
time.
out.
They're going to figure it out. So is
Oh,
that
I
a
see.
life lesson that you want to impart to your child, that a cheating
Never.
spouse is okay?
That's a good point, Rob. That might deter because I don't like when parents aren't in the household. I think that that makes me feel some type of way more than what you put up with. But then when you think about it, I could be damaging my kid by exposing them to what's going on. So that's I can okay.
So
I'll double think that.
there are couples I know. We know Will Smith and Jada Pinkett who have
That's a good one.
supposedly chosen to do polyamory and chosen to have other relationships outside of
Oh
theirs
yeah.
so that they can keep their core
It's
family
work.
together. I mean, is that something that, you know, either of you would have? I know Rob B probably not, but Gianni, would you have ever considered polyamory? So basically
I'm not
saying,
a sharing.
not cheating, but saying, hey, you can have relationships with other people as well.
That's funny that
I
you
feel
would
like you guys like
pigeonhole
think
them.
I'm like loose because
No, no, no,
I
no,
allow
no, 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 no. That's not what we're thinking. We understand the
Okay, good.
mindset. The mindset has more to
Yeah.
do with the generational thing. It's generational, right? That maybe it's okay. And it may even be cultural, right? Because again, black women tend to accept that shit a little bit
More.
more than
Yeah. It's
other.
true.
Not necessarily. That's not necessarily true. I'm
I've
gonna step
seen it.
back on that. But I feel
I've seen
like
it.
being a part of the community, black people, I have
Yeah.
seen very often, and it's been very disappointing how often that black women choose to stay with cheaters. And it
Oh,
really
So,
yeah.
frustrates me.
and it's funny, Neil, because I mean, you pigeonholed me, but my first relationship was with a serial cheater, and that absolutely destroyed my self-esteem, and I
I can
stayed
imagine.
for. So then the
Mm,
next relationship I was in, I enabled polyamory because, hey, it was going to happen anyway, so let's just open the doors. That
Mm,
relationship was equally damaging to me, if not more, because
mm.
of reasons. I mean, there's a whole wealth of reasons. And
sure.
so, I mean, it works for some people, it doesn't work for most, if we're being
Thank you.
completely honest about it.
Yeah, I don't think
So,
that's solution.
no, polyamory is, like I said, it works for some, but it fails for most. And if we take a look at the example that you brought up, the Pinkett Smiths, their children kind of speak to the success of the relationship.
Mm,
I've
good
never
point.
shown up for any of the dozens of weddings in full Halloween costume. I always wore the part,
Their kids are
but
weird.
no.
I love Willow and Jaden Smith, but they are weird. I don't care.
Yeah, and we can see the damage that it has done over time, because Will and Jada don't look happy.
Yeah.
Well, Will really doesn't.
Neither of them look happy. So it
Neither of
takes
them.
its toll if you do it.
Yeah, so polyamory, I don't buy into it at all. I just could never do that.
Mm.
And I feel you, Rob. I can imagine self-esteem being absolutely destroyed. So no cheating, no polyamory for me. Even for the kids, the most I might agree with is one time and
Trying to
then
make it work.
and the trust is all messed up. We got to go to counseling. And that's a maybe. That's a huge maybe.
Maybe.
And there's a lot of caveats to that. but I'm not into the cheating thing. But
Well, guys, I mean, it feels like marriage has been around forever, obviously, and it has changed with our society. But even though I think that it will look different in about 50 years, I still think it's shenanigans. You guys think it's truth, lies, or shenanigans?
I started out with shenanigans, and I think that through our conversation, I'm still going to stick with shenanigans because we are discussing it in the terms of North America. We're discussing it in the terms
Right.
of our societal context.
sure.
Our society. Yeah,
There,
true.
yeah. So there, and in other nations, marriage is valued for different cultural reasons. So there's definitely some cultural shifts, but at the end of the day, humans crave connection, whether it's going to be a traditional marriage or something else. People are still going to get together.
Well, Gianni, once you defined marriage more clearly, which is
Yeah.
a spiritual connection, choosing to stay together for life, if that's your definition, then no. I'm going to say lies. I'm going to say that because your question was, will it be a thing of the past in 50 years?
In 50
I-
years.
Now that you've redefined marriage as a spiritual connection, I think people will choose to have lifelong relationships. And I don't think
Mhm.
that will go away. So
Mhm.
I'm changing from shenanigans to that's lies. I don't think it's going to go away. I think the
Okay.
dynamic may change with the next generation as to how they get there, choosing to be in a lifelong relationship. I think there may be a longer period before they choose to go into marriage. So
Yeah.
choosing to go into your
Good
marriage
point.
in your 20s is not necessarily smart because you haven't figured shit out. Choosing to go into marriage when
Yeah.
you're 35,
Unfortunately.
40, you figured a few more things out.
We know some things. Yeah.
Yeah,
You
you don't
we're
have
seeing
much
that.
wisdom through your breeding years.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's crazy. I mean, I've just started to
It's
really
true.
figure shit out. Just started. Like you said, the breeding years are about over, right?
Right.
I'm
Very
going to
well
go with
said.
lies.
I still got to see how this generation plays out.
Well, that was the end of this episode. But after we shut down the session, we all had a lot more to say. Let me share that with you.
Like where you guys, I can tell where your values and morals lie in marriage. It's just interesting. I like that discussion.
I divulged a
the
lot more than I
assumption that
wanted to.
you made. Like what? Oh, well, I know Rob's not like this. Whoa, 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 whoa! Back up the bus, son.
No.
It's in a different picture.
Maybe you misunderstood. I was saying black women particularly tend to
Oh,
stick
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
They tend to not only stick around, they accept it.
We deal with a lot. Yeah.
They accept it as like okay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I'm saying, Johnny, know your worth because this is
Yeah.
across the board, all your girlfriends. Because if it's a cultural norm, it's a cultural norm that needs to be broken because at the end of the day, you want your partner to bring loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
security,
Mm-hmm.
respect.
But
And
Rob, you
if
got to
you're,
understand too, in my culture, there's not that many, and Neo might be an exception, but Neo's also Ethiopian. So he has a different cultural background.
he's
But
not, his
African
dad's
American or
Ethiopian.
Black, same thing.
It's not.
Black
No,
American.
no, it's not. No, it's not.
So Neo doesn't have
You
a
trying to say
different
I'm not black?
culture. You're Black, Neo. You have the Black culture.
You trying to say?
But
Wait a
you
minute.
have a better like. I feel like because your dad was there, and I love your dad. It's like you have a advantage
I
as
disagree
opposed
with
to
you.
like my
I
brother.
disagree with
No,
you.
my brother.
I
has an
understand what
advantage.
you're saying in terms of like there are not a lot of good
You see it?
black men because
Have an
I say
example.
I told my wife this a while ago. I even say it to my friends, my close friends that are good guys, you know, and
Yeah.
they might have gotten back into the dating pool or is that we are rare, right? If you go out into the
Yeah.
dating pool, men are shit.
Thank
Men
you.
are absolute shits. And it's not just
Horrible.
black men. I'm going to be honest. That it's not a black men, white men thing.
Okay.
Men are shit.
Okay. Men in
Men
general.
are
I
absolute
believe you.
shit. And when you go out into the dating pool, and I know a lot of friends where me and Rob are rarities, and a lot of my friends are absolute rarities. And I have a lot of male
Yeah.
friends or acquaintances, I'll say acquaintances, because most of my friends are good guys. But the
Yeah.
people I know, the males that I know, outside of my circle, it gets a little shady.
Definitely. That's what I was trying to make the point. Like you're an exception. And okay, I don't have
And
to
I
use
would
your,
agree with you, actually.
your
I
culture.
cannot disagree with that Rob and I are exceptions.
You're like, you are right.
But even with that said, the good things about us still grew with time.
Okay.
Because not that I was a bad husband, I was still faithful. I still had my sense of commitment, right? So I stayed together no matter what. Well, not no matter what, because I had deal breakers, right? Don't attack me or I'm out. Do not put your hands on me or I'm leaving.
Yeah,
Those
no,
were
that
deal
is a deal.
breakers. I have deal breakers and I stuck to my deal breakers, right? So
I'm catching hands, you catching papers.
I'm out. I don't do hands. So I'm committed. I'm faithful, generally good morals, but my communication was
No, you
horrible.
have good ethics. You have good ethics.
Good
Good
ethics. You do have good ethics.
Morals are derived from religion. You have good ethics. You live without a good book.
Tomato, but you get the point.
I get it.
No, because
I
with,
get it.
with moral authority, you can do great evil.
Oh,
with
true.
ethical, yeah, if you're ethical,
Ooh,
you can't.
Rob,
But
that
the
should
point
be
is-
one of our topics that you bring up. Okay, sorry.
But the point is, I had horrible communication skills. Horrible.
At 28?
Oh, horrible. You have no idea.
okay.
I was horrible. I was a horrible communicator. I was very active when shit didn't make sense, very active. So I'd be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Are you crazy? And then I would react and, respond to that, whether it was shutting down completely or yelling back, whatever that was. The communication was just horrible. Whereas sometimes it just took a moment to just be curious about what the fuck's going on, listen, be there to understand, because sometimes I was reacting as though it was an attack on me, but it really was just a cry for help.
Yeah.
But I saw it as like, why are you talking to me like that? Why are you acting like this? What is wrong with you? And whereas it could have been depression, it could have been sadness, but it was coming out to me as an attack, but I couldn't see it. You know what I'm saying?
And you
So yeah,
normally wouldn't.
So you're telling me that I'm not providing this for you. I feel attacked. You're telling me that something is lacking, but what I'm hearing is that you're telling me that I'm not providing this for you, so I feel attacked.
Yeah. And so I was reacting to that. But what really needed to happen was take a moment. Listen.
Dialogue.
Figure that out. What's happened? What's going on? Even ask the question, why are you, what's going on? Can I help you? Any of these things would have been better than how I reacted. Right. But I didn't know any different. I give myself a little reprieve because I didn't know different. I grew up in an environment where I was constantly attacked. Right. And so I felt like I was under attack.
Better.
Right. And so now,
not like you're using it as an excuse.
Yeah. I mean, my relationship now, we all go through emotional things, emotional times, and we all react differently to those emotional times. And now I stay kind of curious to what's happening and more analytical about what might be happening. And then I'm not as reactive as I once was. So, but again, that came with time. And that was not something that at 28, 30, I even knew to do. And it also took some inner reflection and therapy. So
that's why I was saying, man.
Feels like it's a lot of work.
Humans are the most fertile when they're the most fucked in the head. That's so not right. It's so not right. Right. If anything, man, we shouldn't be able to. So
later marriages is the
I mean, I'm not saying that that's the best way.
Know yourself. Know yourself before you enter marriage.
Love yourself too. You got to love yourself, know yourself,
and loving yourself.
Be really
getting
ready.
Yourself out of bad situations.
Yep.
Loving yourself means walking away from situations that could be painful, could hurt you. It's hard, but you need to walk away for you because you love you. You follow the advice that you would give your best friend.
Yeah, people are too dependent on other people to be happy.
That's good. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, they are.
Yeah. Very much.
All right,
I feel shitty. I'm going to post these pics. Oh, everyone likes me.
I'm pretty again.
We're too dependent on other people.
That's too funny. That's how it is.
You nailed
That's
it.
literally
You
how
fucking
it is.
nailed it. That's what was so funny about it. You fucking nailed it. I'm pretty again.
That sounds like my cousins, like my cousins and my best friends. I'm telling you guys, we have some growth to do. We'll get there.
All right. Well, that is officially the end of this episode. Really hope you got something out of our conversation on marriage. Make sure you go to Pods Network, PODZnetwork.com, and make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think about marriage. Is it going to be around in the next 50 years? Well, I've got to thank my co-host, Rob B., Gianni Storm. Most importantly, we've got to thank you for listening to our shenanigans. See you next week.
TLS show coming to your life.